say anything?
I can't hear anything.
Good morning and welcome to the Hodge Pack, sports, life, and everything in between. I hope everybody's having a good morning. It is a brand new day, and ladies and gentlemen, March Madness is up and rolling. I hope you're wearing your green. I am. Josh is. We'll see if Misty's wearing her green. But we are rocking and rolling right here on 106.9, the Country Giant, as we get ready to continue with the craziness of March Madness. We're glad that you're here. We are brought to you by Lytle Land and Cattle. We are our guest up here on our Pest Patrol phone line. And, of course, we are hanging out in our Potosi Live studio, Big Country Electric My Town segment, loads of stuff. We've got your Knowing is Half the Battle. We've got Misty's bag. We're going to celebrate Misty a little bit. Her birthday was yesterday. But it is a great time in sports as March Madness is up and rolling. And so a lot of stuff to talk about today. We've got at the bottom of the hour, we'll have our Big Country Electric My Town segment. Coach Harns from Merkel, the Merkel Badger baseball coach, will join us. They've been doing some great stuff on the field and off the field and helping a local nonprofit this past week on spring break, doing some great things. And so we'll learn about that at the bottom of the hour. As I mentioned, Misty's bag will be in this hour. And, of course, we'll have the more knowing half of the battle with Josh and a PSA for you and us to get a little bit better at things. And so free agency, Josh, that's been the big topic this week. Free agency, of course, March Madness. Aaron Rodgers has made a decision. We'll talk about all that. Ezekiel Elliott is no longer going to be a Dallas Cowboy. And so there's just a lot of stuff going on. And we've got a big announcement that we'll make during Misty's bag, something that you'll want to be sure you're tuning in as we launch that. But, Josh, spring break, have you done much?
No, that's one of those things that, as you very well know, but I mean, you are married to a teacher, so you kind of have the halfway, I guess. But when you're in the real world, it's just a pain in the rear because you got to find something to do with your children, and it just changes up the routine and all that, which came into full effect this morning. It was very hectic. I couldn't get anyone to get up. The combination of it being spring break and the time change week, that you're still adapting to the fact that it's pitch black dark outside,
which I'm okay with the pitch black dark because I know at about 7 it's still going to be shining.
Right. So I'll take the trade off. I really like the longer daylight hours to be in the evening and not in the morning because that's when it doesn't affect you much to get ready for work in the dark. It does affect you a lot if it's dark and you can't go outside in the evening, so I take the trade, but the adjustment every year is rough.
It cracks me up. People say that they struggle with the sleep or they struggle with kids or whatever. I know like Zane and then we're talking about, and one of our ladies at church was like, she doesn't like it because she works so much. She's going to work longer. She's not going to go play golf. She goes, I know you like it, but I don't like it because it just means I work more hours in the sunlight. But I don't guess I adjust yet. I don't know if it really affects me the way I hear some people say, well, and again, not having kids may be part of that, but my body, now I may go to sleep earlier or later or whatever, as opposed to when it's pitch black dark and you think it's midnight and it's like 6:30.
Well, that's
you go to sleep after the 6:30 news instead of the 10 o'clock.
That's how it gets me. Is because of the time change, you spring forward or whatever. In the evening when it's time to go to bed, I don't feel like it's time to go to bed, so I have a harder time getting ready for bed and going to sleep. But then 5 o'clock still comes at 5 o'clock. So it's so I end up sleeping an hour less for a while until I get used to it. But that's.
But that is, you mentioned as somebody that knows it, and of course we're talk to Coach Garnes a little bit later. Coaching and in education, I got spring break. Now, a lot of times during those spring break times, I was busy with, like he was, coaching a baseball game or coaching track or something like that. So, but spring break is rolling. Hopefully you're having a great time, and hopefully you're listening to, obviously if you're hearing me say this, to KLGD 106.9, the Country Giant, where you can hear great music like the Texas Two-Step later on this afternoon with Greg Austin. And so be sure you keep tuning in and all the things. And don't forget, if you're riding in the car, listening to us, head over to KLGD1069.com when you get to your office and you can listen to it. So I want to jump into our Lawrence Hall headline report. A lot of stuff going on. Going to touch on a few things. First, Michael Jordan, finally something maybe he hadn't been the greatest at as a owner for the Charlotte Hornets. He is looking and created some talks in selling his majority stake of the Hornets with a group there, but will look to still keep a minority stake in his ownership of the Charlotte Hornets. So that's taking place. MJ rocking and rolling, trying to maybe take some stuff off his plate. Big news. We'll talk March Madness more, but this past week, Damon Stoudemire hired as the new head basketball coach at Georgia Tech, and Chris Beard is landed back with a head coaching job, going to the SEC, hired this past week as the Ole Miss coach. Josh, I'm not shocked that he's hired. I'm not shocked that it happened that quickly. And I will not be shocked if Ole Miss is not only better next year, but if they're not in the tournament next year.
I don't disagree with anything that you said. When the charges were like not only like dismissed and dropped, but then recanted completely, there really was not any. Now I don't know what happened, So
right.
But so you can still speculate a little bit. Well, he had to have done something, and maybe he did, But when the complainant says, didn't happen, I got a little emotional and called the cops. There's really no reason that he should not get hired. And so.
It'll be interesting to see, of course, last week we had our pre-recorded show. Again, congratulations to Coach Ryan Blocker and the J&J Jaybirds coming up short in the state championship game against Grayford. But last week also some things that happened. Of course, Mark Adams being let go or stepping down from Tech. It'll be interesting to see if Coach Beard brings Adams to Ole Miss, because, it makes sense. And I was telling somebody this last night. It makes sense why Chris Beard went to Texas, and it makes sense why Coach Adams didn't go with him to Texas and stayed at Tech to get the head coaching job there. Coach Beard went to get his dream job at Texas. Mark Adams got to have his dream job at 64 at Texas Tech. Probably not going to get another head coaching job right away as Coach Adams, but will be a very good assistant as he's been for a number of years for Coach Beard. So we'll see if he ends up going there. Of course, Damon Stoudemire, a familiar name, March Madness, played at Arizona, who we'll talk more about them a little bit later. But Chris Beard is heading to Ole Miss, joining Lane Kiffin there on that staff. And so one of the things I thought that was interesting real quick about Mark Adams and Texas Tech, Josh, they've created they've created a committee to go help try to find this coach. And part of that is one of the internal committee members of that team or that group is Coach Joey McGuire, which kind of makes sense because if you start thinking about his background of being a head football coach at the Texas high school level, you wanted to be on the same page with your other coaches at your school. And so trying to go find somebody that fits the mold for Tech, and coach, a lot of rumors of the guy, Paul at Oral Roberts, and of course, Grant McCaslin, former head coach, literally briefly at ACU, went to Baylor, is now at North Texas, is kind of one of the front runners to get that job at Tech. So we'll see what happens there. A couple of things I want to throw in again in the golf world. Last week was the Players Championship. Scotty Scheffler shooting 17 under, largest purse in golf, winning $4.6 million last week, vaulting himself back up to number one in golf. Josh, he's won $10 million this year alone, $32 million in his career on only turning pro in 2018. We're going to see those purses continue to get higher, and which makes more sense why some of these people are not going to live golf. Will Zalatoris reported this week and admitted, turned down $130 million, said no. And with the purses getting bigger in the PGA Tour, you're going to see some folks stay and put. A couple other things. Valspar this week, loaded good field. Jordan Spieth's in there, Justin Thomas, some big names that are playing. at the Valspar, which is very interesting that the Valspar is having that big of a push because some of these guys like Jordan, it's going to be interesting to see what Jordan does. He's going to play in the WGC next week, which I will be there next week. Josh and Misty will be running the show next week. We'll be doing some call-ins from Austin Country Club. But anyway, so that's coming up. Scotty Scheffler's menu came out. We'll talk about that a little bit later. It's a fantastic menu. If you're asking me, Texas ribeye, cheeseburger sliders, some mac and cheese. And I think there's been rumor that his grandma may make the cookies for the cookie ice cream thing at the end. So Scotty Scheffler, again, winning the Players' Championship last week. At the Valspar, Ryan Brim and Adam Shank among the ones at 5 under. Brim having an ace yesterday to shoot 66. And Jordan Spieth at 4 under as well. Webb playing a little bit better. Keep your thoughts and prayers going toward Webb and Paul. They're trying to figure it out so they can get rolling again. All right, when we cut back, again, that's our Lawrence Hall headline report. We appreciate Lawrence Hall and all that they do. Cars out there, go get you one if you need one. Get your service. I had my oil change this week in my preparation of getting ready to go to Austin. Jim and the service folks took care of me as they always do. When we come back, baseball's up and rolling. We're going to have a really good half hour of baseball over the next few minutes with Josh talking Major League Baseball. The Rangers outfield, how are they doing? And, of course, Coach Arns at the bottom of the hour talking Badger baseball. But when we come back, we're not only going to look at the Rangers outfield and see how they're doing and where we feel like they fall into with the great pitching staff, the great infield with all the money in it, and the outfield. But when we come back, does WBC no longer stand for World Baseball Classic, but does it stand for Wasted Baseball Classic? We'll be back right after this.
Have you enjoyed the Potosi Live experience yet? If not, you're missing.
Whoa, I can no longer hear. Why was that so loud?
What's up, Coach?
What's up? How are y'all?
Good.
Doing well.
Good. Got some gifts for y'all.
Oh, I've got one for you.
Josh Greer, good artist. Nice to meet you.
If it doesn't fit, let me know.
Perfect. There you go. That'll work.
All right.
Yeah.
They messed up on the burrito, but
Well, you're good.
but bean, bacon, and cheese is pretty fantastic.
Perfect.
Uh,
Y'all, I appreciate it.
perfect. So yeah, we'll. Here's a water if you want it. If you need it for your burrito,
Appreciate it.
So we're in there. I don't have that. I don't know why that was loud because I don't have the headphones that loud.
I don't know. It was just suddenly like as
Commercial
loud as
with-
it could go. Like,
See, yeah, it's not even that loud there. Well, all right, glad folks are there. So tough one yesterday, tough too.
Tough all around day.
Yeah.
Battle and win, and then a couple guys missed it for stock show. And so we're putting guys in places that shouldn't be playing, and injuries. Kind of glad it happened though. Meeting going into Clyde next week. So sometimes it's humbling.
Yeah, I guess Wiley and Lubbock Cooper played at 1 yesterday, and Chad Sipes said there were a couple of balls that looked like they were going to be bombs out of the ballpark, and then
Came on back.
drifted back.
Yeah. Everything that happened could happen for Sweetwater. It did. Everything bad happened for us. It's just one of those. That's baseball, man.
I didn't think about that yesterday. As bad as the wind was playing baseball.
Oh, it was
like
they had a little blooper. Any other day, we probably get it, and it just falls. And then we hit a blooper, and their kid just not even looking, just falls in his glove. And you're just would have scored 2.
yeah.
So you're just kind of like, well, just one of them days. And then they hit that should have been a routine pop fly and just hit the jet stream and just goes over the fence. You're just kind of like, all right.
Hey, and did you say that Freddie? Did I read that Freddie Freeman got hurt too?
I don't know. I'll look that up. I hadn't heard that.
I just saw a tweet that said first so and so and now Freddie Freeman. Here's the deal. There's not a good time for anything in baseball to do something like that.
Unless they do it hockey, suspend the season.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Facebook Live people. Good thing is we haven't got a text that you can't hear, so that's good.
The sound is working.
Normally, Dad texts me and says if it's not. Nope, yep, you can hear. All right. We're going to save I Want to Dance with Somebody in a moment. All right, Major League Baseball.
Yeah, he said it's a mild hamstring strain that he could have played through, but he pulled himself from the game.
Which is smart.
Well, yeah.
Because is he still with the Dodgers?
Yes.
There's the old BP alert. We'll start with the baseball classic stuff.
Okay. I've watched a little of the baseball classic, yeah, but it's hard to get super excited about it when you're watching, like some guys, like some of those teams are like minor leaguers from like the Mexican league or something. Just like they're not the best players,
Right.
Like so, it's just kind of hard to get super excited about it.
Welcome back to the Hodge Pack, Sports Life and everything in between. Right here on 106.9, The Country Giant. We're glad that you're with us this morning. Rolling along. Hope your St. Patty Day is rolling well. You got your green outfit so you don't get pinched. Pinched, yeah. And don't say you're wearing green something else just so you don't get pinched. Nobody wants you to prove that. So be sure you're wearing green. And y'all got green.
That's very like throwback elementary school.
Oh, it is. Well, it's kind of very similar to the knowing's half the battle. Nobody wants that. So, but be sure. Of course, y'all are fortunate, Josh. Your bank has green in the logo, so
we do.
So you've got that going for you. But again, it is spring and it's rolling and all the things. It doesn't feel very springy the last couple of days, except wind. And we were talking to Coach Arns during the break and just talking about how many baseball games yesterday were played in the wind. It was just terrible. Dad, I know, was watching, played golf yesterday. I said, well, 15, 16, and 17 were downwinds. You could probably reach those because there's plenty of wind, yeah. But baseball is rolling. It's getting closer. We're going to talk about the Rangers outfield in a moment. But, Josh, the World Baseball Classic is going on. And there's so many things. And I was listening to Sean Salisbury on the way in, which is based out of Houston. And they were talking about how the Roughnecks of the XFL lost their first game last night. And they were like in Houston base. And they're like, they were playing?
Yeah. Huh?
Like, why do you have a TV game on the Thursday of March Madness kicking everything off? But anyway, so in all that, most people may not know the World Baseball Classic's going on unless you're a baseball fan, unless you're diehard wanting to watch baseball, like a diehard football fan wanting to watch XFL last night instead of March Madness.
I don't know what that market is. Like it's a very, very, very narrow market.
It's the parents of the people of playing on that, kind of like those that had Furman last night or Princeton. Were probably people that went to that school or their kids go there or their money goes there.
Well, I mean, or the office pool girl that was like, I said girl. It could have been a guy. But there's always that one of them. You're like, why did you pick that team?
Michael Bacon's daughter filled out a bracket. I think she's like 2 or 3 and has Oral Roberts winning it all, which is not going to happen. But anyway, in all that
bracket's busted.
Yeah, dang it, they didn't. Anyway. So, but in that, the World Baseball Classic is happening. We have a pretty good American team, a good USA team that's playing. Mike Trout's on it, all those things. But, Josh, it's come out, and the reason I said leading into the segment was the Wasted Baseball Classic. I actually should have said the Wounded. Baseball Classic. As the Mets, Victor Diaz went down. Freddie Freeman possibly tweaked a hamstring. So people are catching some flack of should these guys be playing in this. Now, it's probably the best time because it's only the beginning of the season, not in the middle of the season. You have 162 games to get better. But you are our Jeff Passan. You are our Adam Schefter of baseball. And we won't tell you to lose my number yet, like Aaron Rodgers did, Adam Schefter. But in all that, what's your take on the World Baseball Classic and, unfortunately, the injury that has taken place with Diaz?
Well, the Edwin Diaz injury is one of those things that really is kind of worst case scenario for the World Baseball Classic, to have not just a good player get hurt for a year, but it'd be someone that the closer of the Mets, maybe the best closer in baseball right now, with the Mets really, really pushing to contend this year, and now he's out for the season. So that really is worst case scenario, and it's the reason why. And I think it makes it even more troublesome in the fact that it was not like a pitching injury. He was jumping up and down, and if
like celebrating,
you can watch the video.
Like
yes,
Gramatica?
it's like the Bill Gramatica. They won the game, and you see it often. Everybody's kind of in a huddle, kind of jumping around, and then the huddle. If you watch the video, the huddle kind of everyone stops and realizes, oh no, he's hurt, and then they have to get the trainers. They get a wheelchair to get him off the field.
Do you think that's why it's encouraged those guys that must practice their celebrations for interceptions?
I guess you got to be.
Because you always can tell when somebody intercepts a ball in the NFL, they wave, "Hey, we're going down there. Everybody know your places."
Yeah.
Because you mentioned the Gramatica guy that was jumping up and down and tore his ACL.
Yes.
There was another guy that did that. Don't remember his name, but he just circled the bases from a home run, jumped on the home plate, and did the same thing.
Right.
It's like you want to talk about freak accidents that we see in a lot of injuries.
That was the Angels first
guy.
baseman.
Yeah.
So anyway, that a freak injury, I think maybe even worse, because it proves that you can't. It's not just the playing that might hurt you. You can get hurt. But we know, like Derek Holland tripped on the stairs and missed a season. So
Dustin Johnson came down the steps at Augusta and had to be out of the Masters.
Things happen, but the overall, as you mentioned, other things to watch. I've watched some World Baseball Classic because I do enjoy watching baseball, and especially some of these smaller countries, the excitement that they have in being, some of those rivals of the Caribbean nations that are, kind of border each other or in the vicinity of each other, as those islands may be, and the rivalries that they have, they're kind of exciting. And the excitement level, for whatever reason, in Latin America and then like the Pacific Island or Pacific nations, Korea, Japan, the excitement that they have in baseball games, it exceeds American excitement by 10. So that's just kind of entertaining to watch. But you're watching in a lot of these games, you're watching not the B team, but like the C or the D team.
Ohtani hit 102 miles an hour during the thing.
Well, and see, there's some guys that Ohtani is one of them. You mentioned Trout. The U.S. team has a lot of good bats. Their pitching staff is not the greatest, and so that does water down the event. I don't know that it can be fixed because there's always injury risk, and
timing's hard.
Well, there's no good time to do it because you can't ramp up in the off season to full play and then be ready for the next regular season. So it's as Coach Arns mentioned, hockey, when they have their deal, just takes a break during the season, which would be the only way that you could pull it off without amplifying that injury risk. But there's too much money involved then, and that's the problem. And I know people, it's all about money, but Major League Baseball teams are investing millions of dollars in their players.
Right.
They expect their players to stay in shape and be ready to play baseball.
Well, it's no different than any other employer.
It's really not.
Your folks at the bank, folks at the co-op expect me to do, and it's kind of like even like our guys that are linemen and have to do the things that they do very strenuously. Hey, well, hope you can stay in shape and be able to perform.
Right. You have to show up to work on Monday morning ready to work. If whatever weekend activities you're doing make it where you don't show up to work ready to go, your boss is going to have a talk with you, or you're going to find other employment.
And don't get me wrong, we've got a buddy of ours that unfortunately had an accident off work and now is having to battle through this injury.
It happens.
Right.
But it's just like, it's not. Anyway, it just makes it difficult. So when you watch these games, and I think a lot of times it's like there really wouldn't be much competition in the WBC if it would be between very few places that could have the depth that the United States could if the U.S. had their A team, everybody just because like Aaron Judge isn't playing in it. Obviously, he would be on that team.
Well, you look at it, and I want to get to the Rangers because I want to get to the Rangers outfield. But you look at it very similar for the longest time. And even though Argentina and a few others have beat the NBA guys, when the Dream Team went over, there was no chance.
Yeah.
When the Dream Team went over, and even when the second Dream Team, that's not as good of a Dream Team as the original Dream Team, went over, they had no chance. Do we have a Dream Team in the outfild for the Texas Rangers?
Absolutely not. It's a
good
segue.
I don't think we do.
No, it's the polar opposite of last week we talked about the infield being the strength of the team, and they're solid across the board. With the one question mark being Young at third base and what he's going to be as a rookie in the outfield. And no offense to them as humans, but it's kind of like we got to find somebody.
Well, they're similar to the World Baseball Classic in a lot of those other teams that we may not know who's playing for them. These guys, and I'm looking, aren't, Garcia is a household name because he's been there a little bit, and he's Old Man River when it comes to baseball players.
Well, that's the thing. Garcia, he has definitely had his Cinderella story where he's come out, and he is now the one solid guy that you have out there in that mix. But like I said, he was a cast-off. He was somebody that was cut that the Rangers picked up. The Rangers designated for him.
Didn't he get in like at 27, 28 years old?
Yes, his rookie year, which he was an all-star, which was just 2 years ago. He was 27, so a late bloomer. He still has some strikeout issues, so he's got some. He's not a perfect player by any means, but he plays good defense. He has a really strong arm, and he can hit for power. So he's the one bright side. If you had a story like that was filling in around some other solid places, you'd think like, man, this is a pretty good story. But it just kind of goes downhill from there. In center field, Leonis Taveras is been the prospect, the Rangers' top prospect for a time. He's been in the majors for a few years now, back and forth. He's not really ever made it as far as his hitting tool in the majors, but he's got speed and plays defense. But then he got hurt, so he's questionable for being ready for opening day. So then you got Bubba Thompson, who is the second fastest player in the major leagues according to the StatCast data. He plays good defense in center field, but his hit tool is shaky. So he strikes out too much, especially for someone who just needs to put the ball in play and let his wheels work for him. And then they signed Robbie Grossman to play left field, who was a good player, has maybe passed his prime. And if it shows you anything about where the standing is, I guess, in baseball, he wasn't signed until spring training was going, and he's signed for like $1 million. So that's a lot of money, but not in the baseball world. So we're kind of dealing with some cast-offs and hope to be's in the outfield.
Well, they'll be the equivalent of 5th round, 7th round draft picks in the NFL. Hopefully they pay off.
Right.
And maybe have a Nate Lowe type year that surprises people.
Robbie Grossman had some good seasons, as like just 2021, I think, was a pretty decent season. 2022 was terrible. And now, the Rangers got him for cheap, but he's having a good spring. And then Brad Miller, it will be kind of a utility guy who's having a really good spring, who had a down year last year in his first year with the Rangers. So I hope that he can have a bounce back year and maybe force his bat into the lineup a little bit.
Well, again, we got a few new guys you're going to have to learn, but the good thing about that, it's not far away. Opening day is right around the corner, which also means Outlaws and Legends is right around the corner. Be sure you get your tickets at outlawsandlegends.com. 106.9, the place where you can hear the music from Outlaws and Legends like Kevin Fowler, Mark Powell, Willie Nelson, and many more. Exile, all those. When we come back, we're going to continue some baseball talk. Coach Ben Arns from Merkel, the Badgers, not only doing great on the field, but off the field. We'll be back right after this.
atmospheres around with amazing food, great drinks, live.
And with talking baseball, Josh, I'd say you go ahead and get on this too.
Make sure
Ben, you're gonna be right there.
Check out PotosiLive.com.
Go ahead and put that camera on.
For their upcoming live
A little
music
taller
or
than this piece.
Head out to Potosi 897 FM 1750 for the Potosi Live experience.
When it comes to finding the right vehicle for you, there's no better place than Lawrence Hall and Abilene. For over 33 years, Lawrence Hall and Abilene has been the place to find the best TFC viewing and shipping, and that is still true.
So I've got down
great products and great service too. So the next time you need a new car or truck,
how the season's going, how you handle spring break. 2-0 in district currently. Is this year 3? What year is this for you?
Year 2.
Year 2? Mark?
Year 2.
So you came when Kate came?
Yes. Okay. The first radio experience, guys.
Huh?
My first radio experience.
Hey, my first radio experience, and I was the host of the show when Vapor locked on the first 5 minutes and had to go to commercial break with Greg Austin. And then we came back, and I was like, in that minute, whatever that deal of commercial, I was like, all right, Lord, we got an hour and 55 minutes left. I'm going to need some help. I don't need – and
Right.
so
A real short radio career.
And then the next week, I forgot to unmute me after commercial and talked about Cliff Kingsbury going to the Cardinals, and nobody heard it but me. We'll talk about who's tough in district. Who are your 2 wins in district?
Curtis Green.
Oh, y'all played them twice
We
already?
played everybody twice in 1 week this year. Awesome. You got to see their age twice. So
Let's talk about that, because I think like Wiley and them, they have like a 3-game series. I don't know. It's weird. Of course, I think baseball is such, and I guess you are playing more than I thought, but I think it's such a handicap of basketball. You get a lot of games before non-district. Football, even though it's only 4 or 5, it's still a lot of pre-games going into the district season. Baseball, you don't get as long as to really figure everything out.
Mhm.
And it's even worse because you can make a couple rounds in the playoffs in basketball and get knocked out. Now, if you're like somebody that goes to the state tournament, yes, it's hard. If you go to the state championship like Holly did and your first game is district, that's one thing. But that's a rarity.
Yeah.
And especially the small schools playing those first games with the basketball guys. With whoever's coming over, you still don't have them. And, yeah, like.
And that's what I scheduled the way I scheduled. Hopefully our guys were in the playoffs.
Mhm.
It was just kind of, I didn't have a week 1 tournament just in case we made the playoffs, which we didn't. But
I don't know what this song is.
The thing that's different about a Gerber patient home, you always have
I saw that those schedules were back to back, and I like that.
Yeah.
Because it's otherwise, especially if you have a team that has a dominant pitcher, and they know that they need to beat this team to make the playoffs, you just make sure that guy's ready to go right against that guy.
And it's Barnes, right?
yes, sir.
So I think that's how Bandy told me.
Yeah, you're right.
Ben Arms.
howdy.
Howdy.
How are y'all?
Good. How are you?
Good. I was hoping that y'all would not wear green, but dang it, y'all did.
I wasn't sure what green was going there.
This is my favorite green, like a Kelly green. What?
Is it only long sleeve?
Well, welcome back to the Hodge Pack, sports, life, and everything in between. Right here on 106.9, the Country Giant. We're glad that you're with us. Hope everybody's having a great day and having a good time. But just to let you know, it is now time as we start 3-stepping into the end of spring break. It is time for our Big Country Electric My Town segment, brought to you by Big Country Electric Cooperative. taking care of their members each and every day with 3 amazing offices, Roby, Snyder, and Stanford. We highlight a local player, coach, or program, and today we're doing coach and program and a great organization that has ties back to the 106.9 Country Giant. We'll talk about that in a moment. But joining us from my alma mater, Badger Country, the head baseball coach for Merkel, Coach Ben Orange, join us. Appreciate you taking your spring break Friday morning to hang out with us.
Hey, thanks for having us. Having me anyway. So
yeah, we're good to be here. Thanks for the swag that you brought with us.
Of course.
Brought to us. They've got the. Did you check out? They got the Milwaukee Brewer looking
Yes, I like the
logo.
Very nice looking shirt.
Yeah, and they got hats. He thought about bringing hats, but I said, Josh's head's pretty big. Not sure what
I don't have any
you
more of those. So, yeah.
ran out of those.
Yeah.
Well, when you only have to order about 2, you don't buy a lot of those. 6 7/8 is a 6 7/8 is a familiar number, not Kevin Minch. But anyway, glad that you're with us. Spring break is different for coaches and players and athletes and FFA kids that are still stock showing and all those things. And so, again, appreciate you taking the time this morning. And so, consistency is something that's not been there in a lot of programs at Merkel, but 2 of them that have been basketball with Coach Lee and Coach Malone in baseball. And then when Coach Cates came in, it was weird because that football program, it was like, okay, are you leaving? Are you leaving? And Coach Cates always jokes, yes, I'm staying. Just relax.
Right.
But how big has that consistency been going from Coach Malone to you and not having that rotate and the kids buying into what's going on at Badger baseball now?
Right. Well, I mean, it has to come down to relationships. I mean, the one thing was the kids had to trust Coach Cates, and then of course myself when we got there. But they had to know that we cared about them first in order for them to understand. Okay, he likes us, he understands us, so let's listen to what they have to say a little bit. So we had to build that culture and that relationship up first before we could tell them anything about X's and O's.
Right. So now, where were you before you came to Merkel?
So I was in De Leon prior to here for 1 year, and then by steps of Texarkana, Burke Burnett, and LaGrange, where Coach Cates and I met.
Okay. Now, is this your first head baseball job?
Kinda ish. At a private school, and then right outside of Houston as well. So,
Right. That's the way I felt when I was coaching at Roby. I felt like Billy Martin, that coached for the Yankees a number of times. So when I was at Roby, I was first hired as head golf. My spring sport was golf. They didn't have a whole lot of golfers. Then the baseball coach left, and I became the head baseball coach. Well, then they wanted to try to hire somebody, and so they said, I'll put head baseball out there. So another guy became the head baseball coach the next year. Well, then we started softball. He had daughters, so he went to softball. Then I went back to baseball. Felt like a checker piece, but it never really worked out. So how's the season going? I know we were above 500, got some district wins at 2-0. So how's the season going for Badger baseball?
It's going great. Last week we had a great week of baseball. We had a good on Tuesday. We had a doubleheader with Great Creek to go 2-0. It was pretty solid. We played great baseball all the way around. And then yesterday we had a doubleheader in Sweetwater, and the baseball guys were more happy towards Sweetwater than they were to us. I mean, on top of the 30-mile-an-hour winds blowing out, I mean, everything went right for Sweetwater. Nothing went right for us. I mean, that's just baseball. I mean, that's how it goes.
In the way that somebody said, that's the way baseball goes.
That's right. That's the way baseball goes. And so, I mean, it's just it's frustrating. But I mean, up to that, I mean, we were playing great. I mean, we're hitting the ball, playing defense, we're pitching. I mean, doing what we're supposed to do, and the kids are trusting each other and playing together, which is the big thing in baseball. You don't have to have a lot of talent, but if you're playing together, you're going to be tough to beat. So.
Right. And so one of the things before we get into, of course, 2-0 in district, played Great Creek, got Clyde coming up. One of the things that I noticed that you started or that you did last year and even saw this year, and Josh, you may appreciate this. Talk about the 50 bunts.
Yeah.
Club.
So, well, we don't have home run hitters, and if you've been to our park, it's 400 feet to center, and it's 330 down the lines and 380 in the corners. I mean, in the alleys. I mean, it's tough to hit it out, but we're fast and we're quick and we're athletic. So let's play small ball. And a lot of guys growing up aren't taught small ball. They select ball. They're not preaching small ball. They want to hit the ball, which is fine. I get it, because that's where the money is. And people like that. I like that too. It's fun to watch. But the small ball is the intricate part of baseball that's being forgotten. And so a lot of guys don't learn it. So our kids are understanding and learning it. Hey, it's helping. So before they're even allowed to swing a bat in practice, they have to put 50 bunts down. But we're giving them significant amount of time to do that. It's not like, hey, you got 5 minutes a day. It's a good 30, 35 minutes every practice. Hey, we're doing drags, we're doing push bunts, we're doing sacks, we're doing suicides. I mean, we're doing it all, so they understand and they're embracing it. And it helped us last week against New Home, the number 14 in 2A. I mean, they could not handle it. They were throwing it around. I mean, they didn't cover right. I mean, we took advantage of that. And so those kids understood that, and now they're really loving the small ball once they saw that good teams
Good
sometimes,
results, yes.
Well, you know,
sometimes don't cover
bunt
it. So.
play is probably very similar. We had Coach Ryan Blocker on last week. Bunt play small ball is probably similar to two-post offense in basketball. You just don't see it anymore.
Right.
Everybody's playing one post or they're playing 5 out. And so if somebody goes, how do you defend? Or like defending a wishbone in football right now.
Right. Catch somebody
How do we stop a two-back offense? I don't know what a fullback looks like.
Right.
So 50 bunt club. And so talk about your team now. You've got some young guys that are, got some, all across the gamut classification-wise. Talk about your team and kind of where you're at as you get ready to, the non-district is behind you and district in front of you. Talk a little bit about how your kids are playing and how who are going to be the teams that you need to beat to find a way to get into the playoffs.
Yeah. So to go on that, we're young. We have 3 seniors, and the rest are, of course, we have all the way down to we have 1 freshman. He's pretty good on the bump, and we like that. Hope his confidence stays high. But I mean, going in, it's tough from here on out. We got Clyde next week, and they're always good. Coach Riley's got his boys over there. Always good go. They got a good kid on the bump, Anchetta. He's low 90s. I mean, he's going to be special to watch, and we're looking forward to taking that going against him. But I mean, you got Wall, the whole pitching staff at Wall. Clyde's pitching staff is legit. Wall is all around team. If they don't go to Round Rock this year, they will next year. I mean, that's just how talented they are. And but the funny thing is, they're all in our district, and that's what I tell our guys. Hey, they're in our district. Let's just take care of them in our district, and then let's go to playoffs and go play teams that are with us.
Well, and that makes being in the district that you're in, it make you better.
Absolutely.
And you find the Big 12 in the tournament, even though West Virginia didn't do very well. But the Big 12 in the basketball tournament, the reason they've got so many teams in is the committee recognized how good that conference is.
Right. I mean, and our kids are understanding it, and they're appreciating that, and hey, the better teams Coach puts us with makes us better all the way around. I mean, we can handle, because we want to push pitchers, we want to see guys. I was pushing. Let me play New Home. We played Idalou in the Sweetwater tournament. I pushed for that. We competed with them. We lost 4-1 against a pretty good pitcher. So I mean, our kids are understanding. Hey, we can play baseball. And which is going to come in handy against the Jim Neds and the Clydes and the Balls. So
yeah, very very much so. And you mentioned this when we were in break, but I want you to kind of expand on a little bit. One thing especially, and I played baseball in 3A and saw a little bit, but now that's I guess 4A nowadays or whatever. I don't even know what the A's are now. But you were talking about kids being gone and doing different things. Football doesn't really have to worry about that. It seems like there's no other thing that takes precedent over a football game. But kids have to miss baseball games to do ag, track, golf.
It happens in basketball too.
It happens in basketball. Season overlaps a little bit. How do you build? I guess you got to build depth, but how do you work on that? How do you get your players to know? You might be in right field this week. You might have to switch over to center field next week. Like, what do you do for?
Or
that?
You may have to play second.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's the small. I grew up in a small town. I'm from Coro, Texas, and so I understand we got to cross-train kids and we got to play multiple sports. And so I think that's the first thing is understanding, hey, what they're going through. So then you don't have to be so hard on them. You go, hey, man, I've been there. Understand. Like, hey, let's just work on this. Like, we have a couple kids that play golf, and so they're gone some days of practice. But I think the main thing is communication between us and the kid and then the other coach that does the other sport as well. So, I mean, it's just, hey, we're going to work with this today. Hey, you're going to probably play right field tomorrow, so let's just do a lot of outfield work. Right. And then, hey, you're going to play infield next game, but let's get the outfield work in first, because then on Friday you might have to play second. So.
Well, and that's the thing, parents, and that's the thing that athletes have got to understand, and especially, Wiley's your Wiley's bigger than what it was when you were in school.
Right.
But the Merkle that I was in is not much different than what the Merkle that Coach Arns is coaching. Sharing kids, especially good kids, whether that is where they act, obviously where they play, is so important when kids go across the board. and you take advantage of that as a small town and take advantage of that, and so it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the things I want to talk about, Coach, you getting ready for Clyde, and one of the things that y'all did this week, the Buffalo Run, which is a big thing that you hear with Greg Austin talking with Cody Cox, helps benefit Camp Able. And you and the guys went out to Camp Able this past week and did a little bit of giving back. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I'll go back to last year. We had a little mini game with Clyde, the Camp Able game, where all proceeds, everything donation went back to Camp Able. They had we had a kid from Merkel that went to Camp Able, and he threw out the first pitch before the game, and our kids wore Camp Able shirts pre-game just to kind of push it. Well, then after the season, I got to talk to Lotta down there, who runs it, and I was like, let's do a little more, and in order for our kids to lead, they got to learn to serve first. So I said, hey, let's come have a community service project, and spring break was great. We did that on Wednesday this week. We went down, paint some fences to help them out so they can, because they're building a new place down there. And so it helps them out in return. And then they told a little bit what the Camp Able does. So our kids kind of got a better understanding of, hey, this is kind of cool. A couple of kids have said, hey, I want to do this again, which is great. And then now we're having another Camp Able game against Jim Ned on April 14th. And we're going to start pushing stuff out and try to get more stuff out there just to kind of push it. I mean, that's
because money's needed for these
exactly.
nonprofits. Money is needed,
Exactly.
and that's how they
and
function.
It's a wonderful service they do.
Right.
I mean, just seeing those horses do wonders for those kids.
And you see the from the players' perspective, how fortunate they are to get to play the game they play.
Yes, absolutely.
And then being able to give back and do it not as millionaires in the MLB or NBA or NFL, but doing it as high school kids and seeing how a place like that is benefiting one of their own Badgers and getting to throw out the first pitch and stuff like that is huge. And so, so April 14th, we'll let us know. We'll push it. April 14th. Where y'all playing that game at?
In Merkel.
All right, at Merkel, April 14th. Be ready to go. Find a way to go watch that game. Help Camp Able. And again, Buffalo Run also going on. Coach, appreciate you taking the time this morning. Thank you for the gear, and best of luck next week against Clyde.
Thank you very much. Go Badgers.
Hey, how's your bracket? Still okay?
No, it's terrible.
Okay. All right. He joins the rest of us. And speaking of joining us, when we come back, birthday girl will join us. Well, it's not a birthday anymore, but we'll still tell her happy birthday. When we come back, we'll have Misty, the whole pack, and her question, and we'll get nervous, I am sure. Thank you again to Big Country Electric Cooperative, serving their members each and every day. Thank you to all the Merkel Badgers. Go beat Clyde next week and keep raising money for Camp Able. When we come back, we're going to open up that bag, and I'm a little nervous. We'll be back.
Good seeing you. Appreciate you. Yeah, thanks for having me. Hope I did all right.
No, it's great.
You did great.
You did great.
My wife was messing with me last night.
Giving you a
Don't
hard
stutter,
time.
don't don't cuss.
Josh stutters all the time.
You did great.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Appreciate you. Take a. Now, we're still working on our
Our studio.
It's Josh has to be our selfie stick. He's got the long arms. Thanks for the swag. These are sweet.
Yeah, we had a text from one of our listeners that says this coach is definitely doing it right.
So cute.
Right, Josh.
Are cool. I mean,
No,
whatever
it's-
guys
Hey,
want.
get the-
I love
I
it.
got daughters at
we'll
home,
get,
so-
we'll give me two. I don't know if Josh can. Josh doesn't have three.
I found the biggest shirt I can get for
Okay.
it. They run kind of big, so.
Yeah.
So they should work for you. is what they're
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
Okay. You put that in.
Come on, wait, flip this around.
Hold.
Come on in here.
All right.
Good enough. Yeah.
Oh, there you
All right.
Appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
Once again, thank you.
Very
Thank
good
you,
to see you.
Pat.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you
Yeah.
again. Keep in touch.
We'll do.
Haven't been ours, by the way.
Misty Collier.
Nice to meet
Nice
you.
to meet
Of
you.
course. We grab my
Oh,
burrito.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we paid big.
Grab my cool,
Yeah.
cool new.
This is a really cool shirt, though.
I know.
Kids
That's-
love it. The little
Yeah.
hoodie.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
it's fantastic.
That's awesome.
I know. I'm like, I will be sporting that.
It's
Oh.
Not
nothing-
today because it's freezing
Right.
outside.
Need the sleeve.
And it's
Yeah.
not even a name brand. It's just an old Badger T-shirt.
Really?
Ironically,
Oh, that
Badgers,
I
They're
found
so
some
cute.
Badgers gear, and that's the first pullovers we got. That's
Just the brand.
the brand is Badger, and there's a
Good.
Hey, and if you got film, we'll download it. It'll be on the podcast next week.
Okay.
So that interview will be there.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you again.
Bye. See you later.
I'm gonna go check.
I have to beat you.
I know. Dang it. I was wanting y'all to.
Like, I've never seen.
I know. I love them.
Great little warm-up.
Yes. Yeah. I'm like this. I don't totally sport this. I got a really cute pair of like white athletic shorts.
Yeah.
So it looks so cute just running around
Careful,
town.
you know, this district photo.
Well.
Show up wearing that, someone might get upset.
Oh well, I don't have a dog in the fight right now,
Yeah.
so it's okay.
Hello, Abilene and the Big Country. Keith Glover here with
It's
Disability
so
Resources
cold.
Incorporated.
It's
I'm
so
here to let
cold.
you know about
Yeah,
our document
like-
destruction.
It's warm in here, though.
Yes, it feels
Our
nice in here.
services include
Which is the opposite because it's normally really, really hot.
Or it's freezing cold in here.
It is usually one or the other, but I'm starting to get warm. But
The contentment is never really there.
No, y'all just look so cute in your green. It's not a color that any of us wear.
Oh, I got a whole wardrobe of green.
the only green shirt I have, it's more like
Yeah, I was
I
gonna
don't
say, I
know,
don't think I've ever seen you
Oh,
in
if
green.
Crank
lights
bait
go
green.
out, you're following us out.
Yeah,
All right, lights going out. Follow Josh. He is the security light. He is the exit light.
I love it though.
they sent out an email saying at work you know, wear green tomorrow. And I've got some green like golf shirts.
Well, and you got like your Baylor stuff,
Yeah,
but
and that
obviously
was my-
can't wear
That was my plan. I was just like,
unless you wear your like a polo or something.
well, that's what I
It's
was thinking. I'd
cold.
wear a polo. Was when I was playing on my week. St. Patrick's Day, Baylor's playing basketball. I'm gonna wear like a Baylor golf shirt. And then it's like, it's gonna be freezing cold.
Yeah.
I can't do that. And then,
Yeah.
then it was like I spun out. I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna wear.
You're like, I'm bored.
I really need this logo to.
Logo. Did you tell her about the fan hall?
Not
Oh God. The what?
Well, post show.
Okay. Is it bad?
We can't talk about it.
It's just not very loud.
A while ago, it suddenly got super loud. On there.
Welcome back to the Hodge Pack, Sports Live and everything in between. No, Josh, you're just now on the air. But we are glad that you're with us as we're getting ready to wrap up the 8 o'clock hour or 7 o'clock hour, brought to you by Embark Land Management, our sponsor, taking care of any land needs that you have. Be sure to check out embarklandmanagement.com or give Dan a call at 668-7071. And maybe you just need a big fire pit for today, and he'll get that up and rolling for you. But Misty's
Make
with
a
us.
fire pit with an excavator. It shouldn't take long.
Yes.
Yeah, he can get it done. So, Misty, how's it going?
It's good.
Happy
Friday.
birthday day after.
Yes.
So, did you get a lot of love on your birthday?
I did. Fun presents and yeah, lots of love. It was
Clay
a good
cookie
day.
dinner.
No,
Did y'all go to eat?
we went to Mulligan's and watched March Madness in bed on games, and it was a lot of fun.
It sounded like she said we went to
March Madness
Mulligan's.
in bed is what I'm.
Yeah,
Oh, my.
yeah. We
At
went to
Mulligan's?
Mulligan's, watch March Madness in bed. I was like, I mean, they've got beds there now.
Awkward. No, there.
That would be a different set. Would you like a high top? No, I'd like a
I'd
I like a bed.
I'm like a queen.
BET bet,
Yeah.
not bed.
Yeah. Well, okay, good deal. So, how's your bracket?
Busted.
We'll talk
How
Thank
far
more.
did you have Arizona
Thank-
going? I mean, that's a key question.
I had them going.
Princeton,
I had them
Arizona
getting deep and then
Those
losing
two.
in the Elite Eight.
jacked me all up.
You know, the Furman
I had
really.
West Virginia winning like yesterday, obviously, but
I had
didn't have them
Maryland.
going any
I picked
further.
Maryland. I did. I'm into Survivor's picks.
I
I'm
picked West Virginia in a Survivor. So
I am no longer surviving. I picked San Diego State. So both of them I'm out. But in one of the leagues you had to pick two.
Mhm.
And another one you just pick one each day. Well, I picked San Diego State, which they battled back and got in, and woo, I'm in. And I'm like, hey, A&M's playing really good. A&M, everybody's talking about A&M in Texas in round 2. A&M couldn't beat Furman yesterday. I don't know who A&M would have beat yesterday.
They did play terrible.
I mean,
Man,
they
yeah.
were, you know, of the
just-
blowouts you thought would happen, that was not one. Now, did I think Penn State could win? there were a lot of talks on the things I listened to that Penn State was playing good, which I should have listened and just stayed away from that on a Survivor pick. But they got stroked yesterday.
It was
And
embarrassing. I'm like, poor Aggies.
CBS is disappointed because they wanted Texas A&M.
Game.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know if y'all have ever done this. It's the fact of you clicking buttons to pick instead of writing down.
Oh, I miss it.
I
miss writing out a bracket.
Writing out a bracket. I fill it out in the app and then printed it. And so I was talking with someone yesterday, and it was Auburn and Iowa were playing, and they're like, "Who do you got in this game?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I picked Auburn." And then this morning I looked at my bracket and I did not pick Auburn. So
I circled C on the Scantron. I swear.
I was like, "Wait a second, I don't know what I did." I in my mind I was like, "I'm picking Auburn to win that game." I somehow clicked Iowa. Now, I would have claimed that I picked Iowa should they have won.
Of course.
Like in our old Yahoo pick 'em for college games.
I picked.
People taking screenshots. I promise I submitted this at 10:58. Kickoff wasn't until 11. It should count. Bucket is good.
It didn't switch. But anyway, so that got me. I was like confused.
I have to look. I don't know who I picked for what.
Well, that is a problem also because there's 64 games.
Yeah, I can't remember.
There's 64 teams. Excuse me.
I literally pull up my app several times a day because I don't know.
I will share with y'all because y'all are here. You can't see on the radio, but we have everyone has brackets and we have them. They're taped to the freezer in the garage so we can.
At your house, not here.
Yeah, not here.
Yes.
We don't have
in the garage at the house. So everyone, because my kids are really into when a game is over, we have to run to the freezer and highlight or
like you need to film this.
I love it. That's
you need to
fun.
film that sprint to there because it's kind of like
who everybody.
Well, that's what they do in the conference tournaments when the champion team wins. They run to the bracket and put their name in the champion. You need to do that. Yeah, that's something you need to look at.
Reminds me of like when they posted cheerleaders. Everybody's like running, it's like it's going to be posted at 6. Back in the day, it wasn't online. Same thing.
Put that on Facebook.
I love it. Yes.
We'll post that on our Hodge Pack Facebook page. Tell you what, we are right up against the clock, so when we come, we're going to head in. We got a little bit more time, so let's talk more about your birthday. So,
burn a segment on nothing.
I know. Had a great day. Like I said, went to Mulligan's with some friends. And we're all big basketball fans. And so that was kind of the idea since yesterday was the start and my birthday. We went to Mulligan's and we were betting on, next score, $2. It was just back and forth. It was a lot of fun. Rolling dice, just having fun.
I know some buddies that have gone, they normally go to Vegas this week. And flights were crazy. So they went to Shreveport instead. I'm anxious to hear from CJ and some of those how big of a difference was that atmosphere from I'm sure it's different, but I'm just curious. Could you tell you weren't in Vegas? Was your experience
do the dizzy bat race? You know where you're at.
Was your experience still worth it, or was your experience? Oh man, I can't believe we didn't go there and all that. Tell you what, when we come back, we'll do Misty's bag. We'll look at March Madness and we'll see our brackets. We thank you guys for those of you that entered our Hodge Pack Bracket Buster contest. We appreciate you guys, and we'll have again a package to give to the winner when it's all over. And even if we could win, I am no longer, even though we're not eligible to win, we are no longer probably even eligible to win mathematically, any form or fashion, or being on the radio. When we come back, we'll open up Misty's bag and we'll look more into March Madness, and we'll start to rank what are the top 5 days in sports. Is it March Madness? Is it Masters Sunday? Is it opening day? Where do those fall? We'll be back and kick off our 8 o'clock hour right after this.
Hello, Abilene and the Big Country.
How many, Josh, how many did we end up having? It was like almost 20-something that entered the contest.
Routine pickup, purchase, or we accept drop-offs at our state-of-the-art safe.
We have 30 plus.
Our folks at DRI are better
known
as DRI Shredders for here to
Yeah, it
assist
says 30
and
plus.
serve you in the destruction of your most private documents or just
34.
one stacks of boxes you've had piled up over the years.
Whoever
Give us a call at
ESPN fan with a lot of numbers
335-232-6868,
didn't pick any.
or come on
But
out
they
and
entered.
see us at
Aw.
3602 North
We
Platte.
appreciate
We'll be
you.
glad to
A for
see you,
effort.
and I know the DRI shredders will too.
Greg,
And Luke is tied for second place right now, and he quite literally picked his bracket like he wanted to do it. So I opened it, put the bracket on the phone, and handed him the phone, and he just picked it.
Conover. Brian Conover's leading it. Coach Conover.
I love it. Oh, that's fun.
Oh yeah, big country.
Adrian G. I don't know if that's Adrian Daniels, his name. That's the coach at
From the
Monday.
hilltops to the rooftops.
Taylor did too.
My brother-in-law's Adrian, but I don't know if that.
A voice.
J.D. Stone.
Co-op is
No.
one.
Dirtbags is Coach
For
Harms.
the people, from the
I'm
people.
just so excited.
I think
about
it's
this.
cool that they kind of taken on the dirtbag
Your co-op membership.
theme,
Yes.
and they got T-shirts for the kids, and they say little dirtbags.
Yeah, I love it. These are really, really cute. A pair of white shorts, like athletic shorts, that's gonna look so cute with.
We're coming back.
Are we actually going to do the bag this time?
Well, I didn't want to. We were
Oh,
up
I
against the
know.
clock. I know.
I'm not attacking you. I'm just saying, like, I just started
so,
talking and like distracted.
We're gonna come back with this.
I'm not verbally attacking you yet.
We're coming back with that.
Yes, Whitney. I love that song.
Well, Arizona's no longer dancing with anybody.
Yeah, dang it. I didn't have them going like far, but I definitely.
I had
picked them.
Arizona going to the Elite Eight, losing to Alabama.
Oh,
What about
wow.
Alabama destroying, which they're supposed to, but Miller didn't score 1 point? It's kind of impressive.
That's very impressive.
And here's the other deal. Sasser, I knew they were going to win that, but Sasser here, how good is Sasser? Like, is he going to be healthy? Because a lot of people have Houston winning it.
Mm-hmm.
No, I meant to look that up.
Houston was struggling for a set.
Who do y'all have winning it?
I got Kansas winning it.
Molly has Houston.
UCLA.
Oh, that's a stretch. I like that.
Luke has
You know, I'm
Kansas.
usually the one that stretches out of this group.
Luke has Kansas and Barrett has Baylor.
Conover has them too.
I did pick
Kansas
Oral Roberts last year.
to win it all.
No, remember that one, the first game
Yes.
that they freaking busted everybody's bracket? Who did they play? Oh my gosh. Who did they play last year?
I don't remember, but
But
Duke,
remember, it was like a
Yeah.
huge
yeah,
upset.
Duke has hit their stride at the right time and is playing pretty good.
All right, Houston. I'm not going to count them all, but Houston has the most people. But you know, you think about right now, there's a ton of stuff to talk about.
Oh.
There, I mean, oh my gosh,
I want to dance with somebody, Josh.
not me.
I don't want to dance.
I'm out. It's a no for me, dog.
I'll tell you, Princeton, Furman, they're dancing with somebody they love, and that's their teammates. Arizona's looking in the corner doing this, trying to find somebody to dance with them. Virginia's looking for somebody to dance with them, but it is time for our Embark Lane Management 8 o'clock hour, and we are glad that you're with us as we are trucking along. And oh yeah, there you go, just dancing with you into March Madness. I hope your brackets are jacked. But before we get to the brackets, it is time, because, well, it's what we do. It is time for Misty's Bag.
Oh, this one.
No.
Okay. So, Okay, this is something natural that we all do. So
Hmm.
it shouldn't be embarrassing, but it is, especially when it happens in public. What is your most embarrassing fart story in public?
I've got a list so long that it's like hard to narrow it down. Really.
Really?
Yeah.
Really thought it had to be something to do with March Madness, not the last second shot. Literally.
I mean,
My,
I'm not afraid to let it go. If I,
Josh is like, YOLO.
like,
is this your question or
and then
somebody submitted?
then you gotta,
Nobody submitted
you
this.
gotta
It's
see,
just in the
like,
bag.
because I kind of think that sometimes you pass gas and then see if other people smell it and their reaction to it, and it's like
Yeah.
But if it's accidentally loud and they know it's you, that's when it comes back.
So mine happened when I was coaching at Roby, and we were at Dairy Queen, and it was me, Tracy, Coach Floyd, his wife, and I think a couple other coaches and another coach and his wife. And sometimes when you laugh, and so I started laughing. Well, all of a sudden, I just had a little, the wooden chairs at Dairy Queen kind of went, and needless to say, the teachers behind me that were there that day too, thank goodness they didn't hear it. Tracy did, and Tracy looked at me like she was not very proud. So that would probably be mine.
Did they hear? Like they heard it?
Oh, everybody heard it.
Everybody in the DQ heard
and
it.
the DQ.
The DQ.
Yeah, they probably said, "Hey, dude, no, that's what you ordered."
Wow, he'll be here all week.
I wanted to answer somebody.
I do specifically remember 2 times that I was truly embarrassed. And one was just the classic in class in high school, and I decided I was gonna I just was gonna let one go, but it was not supposed to be loud, but it was loud, and it was plastic chair, kind of made it a little amplified it a little bit, so everybody in the
Shot
class
heard
turned
around the
and
world.
looked at me, and I was just like, oh. But you should have to roll that and play it off. There was one other time that no one said or did anything but it was I was in an elevator, okay?
Oh, that's the worst.
And I was by myself in the elevator, and as the elevator was, I don't remember going up, going down, I tooted, and it smelled awful. Well, the elevator stops and opens, and onto the elevator walk 3 or 4 very prominent individuals at the company that I worked for at the time. So I'm standing here on the elevator, and it smells like sewage pipe busted.
Well, they know something happened.
Yeah. And so that nothing was said, and it was just just general pleasantries. But I mean, it smelled awful.
You do know what my favorite part of this question is going to be, right? You get to answer this question too.
I've had a couple.
Wow,
I don't let this happen often, but there have been there's 2 that I was like, just kill me now. So one of them was when Clay and I, we were probably a month in, maybe, when you're in that honeymoon stage of dating and you're like, I don't do that, whatever. So we were in Walmart and I was down an aisle getting something.
Good place, Walmart.
Yeah, we were legitimately in Walmart. And
that's where we go on dates all the time. Go check people out, get a snow cone.
Yep. So we're getting something. So I knew that this was about to happen. So I had to get away from Clay. So I went down the aisle to try to get away, and I was looking at something. I don't even remember. And so let it rip or whatever. Well, then he comes out of nowhere, and I'm like, no, just, I was like,
timing
just
is
stay.
bad.
It was terrible. I was like, just stay there. And he was like, oh my gosh. He was like, did you, he knew. He gets his phone out and takes a picture of me. I was like, go away. And so
It's important to landmark or bookmark those important days in your relationship.
apparently
Put
the
the heart
first,
on it on the phone.
the first
so it's one of your
passing
favorites.
of the gas, so I was embarrassed. And then another time I was in my office, and me and my coworker and a realtor buddy of mine we were all standing in like a circle by the Keurig just visiting. And I was
It
wearing
used to be
like
water cooler.
Keurig.
Keurig. So I kind of turned like my body and turned my foot. And I guess a little like you said, a little. And so my coworker like makes eyes with me, but my realtor buddy doesn't say anything and I don't say anything, but it's like we were communicating. She knew what just happened. And later we ended up telling our realtor friend, we're like, do you remember that? And he was like, no, I don't remember it. But it was really embarrassing.
There you go.
Luckily it didn't
Folks,
smell.
email questions so we can email questions to mistysbag.com.
Oh, some of them are really bad.
Or
I can't share.
mistysbag@yahoo.com. Now, which is brought to you by Mulligan's. We do have an announcement with that. April 6th, it's a Thursday. It's the Thursday of Masters Week. It's the first round of Masters. Good Friday will be that next day. April 6th, we're going to be live at Mulligan's at 6 o'clock. From 6 to 8, we'll be there. Live show. Of course, don't forget tomorrow we'll have the show regularly on that Friday. But April 6th at Mulligan's at 6 o'clock. At 6 to 8, you'll want to be there. Be live. Misty, Hodge, and that's me, and Josh will be there.
Yourself with a third person. I like that.
Yeah. And so come hang out with us. We'll probably have some swag. Maybe our new hats be in. Get some giveaways as well. We will, unless our winner is from Utah, like last time, we'll be able to give our presents and our gifts to our winner of the bracket.
Most of the people, when I was looking through, I could put a name with most of the people that were on there. So, I mean, who knows? But
Yeah,
post
that's
stuff. You post stuff online, and somebody randomly says, "I want to win a gift card."
Good deal. So you got that coming up April 6th. So I want to keep talking. Let's go to March Madness. Let's go to our brackets. Let's go to what happened yesterday. Again, the upsets that happened. The Virginia, and Virginia is known for being the only team to ever lose to a 16 seed. And I started thinking yesterday, like, does Coach Bennett and the Virginia staff and all that have that little inkling of doubt when they go into the tournament every year?
Struggle.
And but in their defense, they'll probably win it next year because that's what happened the year before. They lost in 18 and beat Tech in 2019. And so yesterday that upset Furman over Virginia. The play, I didn't get to watch it live, but I watched the replay. The guy's trapped in the corner. You have a timeout. You're up one, or you're up two, because they hit a 3 to win it. You're up 2. Call that timeout.
Throw the ball off the guy's foot and let it go.
But don't throw it down that way.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, when you're trapped, that's where panic takes place.
Absolutely.
And he had a guy kind of catty corner over away from him to his right, but he chunks it deep. And if you chunk it, it's kind of like if you decide to throw it instead of run it, there's more bad things that can happen on the pass than if you run the football. Well, here, the same situation, there's a lot of bad things. Yeah, you might get it to your teammate, but you might not, and you didn't, and now you lose by 1, and now you're going home. You're not dancing with anybody at the moment. And so that one was there. And then the other one I think that probably hurt some brackets was the Arizona-Princeton game. Princeton, if you remember back in the day, they were known for the backdoor cuts and passing cut offense. But last night, Princeton winning over Arizona. I had Arizona going to the Elite 8. How far did you have them going?
Sweet 16.
And so,
same.
So there were some good games yesterday. The San Diego State Charleston game was good. That's what you want. Josh, you mentioned it. I don't remember if it was during the break, but Duke is really kind of hitting their stride. I've got Duke going to the Final Four. We have over 30 folks in our bracket contest. We appreciate you guys getting in on that. So my Final Four is still intact at the moment. Misty, who's your Final Four?
So I've got Alabama, Duke, Texas, and UCLA.
Say that again. Alabama,
Duke, Texas, and UCLA.
All right, I've got 3 of the same 4. Who do you have, Josh?
Well, I'm right there in the same close but I do have Alabama and Texas, but then I have Purdue and Kansas.
So you've got Purdue making
I love that Purdue. Yeah.
Greg Austin, who again you can hear him this afternoon. He filled out a bracket. He's got Purdue winning it. My Final Four is very similar to yours, except I've got to change. I got Alabama and Duke. I got Texas and Kansas. And I've got Kansas playing Alabama in the national championship. And I've got Kansas winning it. Who do you have winning it?
I have Kansas winning.
Who do you
And
have
I've
winning?
got UCLA.
And so Kansas, obviously the big question will be, will Coach Self coach it all during this tournament? We know he didn't coach last night. Probably doesn't need to coach again. I would think Kansas and Arkansas probably could beat Arkansas maybe without Coach Self, but as you get closer and all those things.
Molly was telling me this morning that's why she didn't pick Kansas, because their coach is out and they're not going to be able to win without him. So
It's pretty good analysis.
Good
Now, we
logic.
got about a minute and a half left,
Logic.
but do you have any upsets? Like, what games today are you looking forward to besides Baylor?
let me pull my bracket
I'll
back
pull
out
mine up. One of my upsets I've got today, and I've had it really from the get-go because I've not been bought into Kentucky. I've got Providence beating Kentucky today. That's one of my upsets.
Well, I've got Vermont beating Marquette.
I'll say no. I got Marquette making it to the Elite Eight. I think Shock Smart is doing a really
But,
good
I
job.
have to have a couple stretches. It's just like Princeton. Nobody thought they were going to win.
No, there'll be
So,
somebody today.
Yeah, there's going to be some. One of those upsets.
Again, Penn State beating A&M last night. But there'll be some good
That was a
games
shocker
today.
how bad that got, right? But
I'll tell you another good game. And again,
I do have Kent State picked. I thought there was one that and Kent State over Indiana is the upset that I picked for today.
NC State over Creighton. That's one of mine. That's 11 versus 6 seed. And again, another 11. I've got two 11s advancing. K-State, I'm telling you, there's some really good games today. I'm hoping that Kentucky-Providence game is good, and hope Providence takes care of business. TCU and Arizona State is going to be a good one. Arizona State and Bobby Hurley, a number of former players of Coach K and the Duke Blue Devils coaching in the NCAA tournament. So appreciate you playing along with us. Always good stuff. When we come back, we will look at Josh's knowing is half the battle. And at the bottom of the hour, NFL free agency, Aaron Rodgers making his decision, and we have lost one running back. Zeke Elliott, no longer a Cowboy. We'll be back right after this.
Hello, Abilene and the Big Country.
Hello.
Keith Glover here with Disability Resources.
You're freezing?
Got cold in here.
All right, I need to find knowing it's half the battle.
Yeah, I was wearing shorts last night at Mulligan's. 'Cause when we
They're
got
just those
there,
annoying stacks
it
of boxes.
was
I went to
good.
Chelsea Live last night. Walked out. It was like
I was like, what? I was like running
wind
to the
blowing
car.
straight from the north.
Yes, it was
At 36
freezing.
Flat Street. You'll be glad you did. And I know the
Very
DIY
cold.
shredders will too.
Raise your hand if you run your electric co-op. Come on, let's see them. Keep one hand on the wheel, please, driver. Let's go passenger side, hand up.
What'd y'all do last night?
We see you back there.
We went and ate at B-Dubs.
Because as co-op members,
Was it
we all
good?
have a say in how
Yeah, but it wasn't as packed as I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Your co-op membership at togetherwesave.com. Offices in Stanford, Wilby, Snyder, and at BigCountry.com.
Have you enjoyed the social experience yet?
And knowing is empty.
Oh my gosh. I'm ready for 5 already. This is kind of fun. We don't ever get swag.
I know.
Like, that was so nice
That
of
was very
him.
nice.
Yeah.
I was very impressed with him. Like,
Yes, he was
Love
really
arms?
good. Yeah, very good. I was just saying, we don't get swag, so that's fun.
I thought you were talking to yourself because when I left, Josh was in the can, and I thought, this is talking to somebody either on the phone or maybe she's prepping her next segment. I don't know.
She looks in the mirror every morning and talks before she goes.
Yes.
Welcome back.
I'm gonna
Yes.
nail this.
How now, brown cow? How now, brown cow?
That's funny. No, I'm just winging it. Looks like my life.
I think I live the most I do everything very organized. Like I'm very routine oriented, but I'm also just not all that planned, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
But
You can pivot. Yeah,
Just-
I'm big on routine too.
one thing I can't do is, for whatever reason, on an evening, if I've decided I'm just staying home and I'm not doing anything, and then someone's like, hey.
Well, welcome back to the Hodge Pack, sports life and everything in between. We're glad that you're with us this morning as we get ready to shake it all night long into more March Madness games today, kicking off at 11 o'clock. If you're still in your Survivor bracket, don't forget to put in your pick. I got to delete that. I had an alert on
I
my
did too.
phone to pick
I
my
made an alert,
Survivor, and my Survivor got kicked off the island and is no longer.
Drop like bank stock, you know. Just like,
It went away real quick, and so. But now it is time. We started this segment a couple weeks ago. Opportunity for a PSA to get you ready for maybe to educate yourself a little bit as well, and so we like to call this. Knowing is half the battle, and so Josh, today, what do you have for us?
well, first of all, like we've talked about before, the whole idea of trying to just make life a little better for everybody. That's what we want to do here, and like educate and make life, just a little smoother. We've had a lot of feedback on this segment. A lot of people have even asked me for advice on other things, and I'm tell them like, I'm not Dave Ramsey. I'm not Dr. Laura. I'm not Dr. Phil. I just observe. I just observe things. So I'm not available for hire for consulting. So just unless you want to pay me a lot, we can talk about that.
In the words of $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, everybody's got a price.
Everybody. But my today, what my little word of advice or thing to remember is just turn right. I don't know if y'all have this happen to you on the reg, but it does me. You're sitting behind someone in a very highly trafficked area.
Buffalo Gap Road.
See, this exactly, we could have saved the taxpayers millions of dollars if you would just turn right. Because you're sitting, let's say Buffalo Gap Road, you're sitting there wanted to drive out of the Market Street parking lot.
Oh, terrible.
And there are thousands of cars. And there's 6 or 7 cars backed up, trying to leave Market Street because this one guy up at the front has that left blinker on. And it's like, they're going to sit there till tomorrow morning, if necessary, to turn left. You just got to make a judgment call when you pull up there. If you're going to be sitting there for a while, and the thing is, it's not even like being just courteous to the people behind you. It actually saves you time. Turn right, find a place to turn back the other way. It's easy.
I'm going to give you some. I'm going to piggyback off of this in that because we are in a situation where that the businesses at 351 ran through that a lot during the text dot change there.
Redoing all that.
But I'm going to give you some advice as well on that Buffalo Gap Road. And again, hearts go out to businesses that are having to deal with that. But you as an individual, if you know traffic is going to bother you, start planning different routes now. Because I do. Today, there's a real good chance we're going to go eat lunch at a place we go eat lunch at almost every Friday.
Mm-hmm.
I will use Ridgemont. I will go to Southwest Drive. I will go down that way, and I will go that way every time. If I can get a light on the way out, I go. If I can get a right on the way out, that's where I go. But if it doesn't bother you, if traffic's not a bother you, then you can do what Josh is saying, but know that the frustration that may overflow to the people behind you. Yesterday, I almost wanted to email you a question. Because yesterday it was not a traffic situation, but it did involve a car, and it did involve a place where at what point do you give up on ordering at a drive-thru? Because I know, again, very similar, do I turn right or do I wait forever to turn left? I was in a situation where I was parked, and the good thing was I wasn't in a hurry. So my contentment was low, or my contentment was fine. I wasn't in a hurry. Every once in a while, I'll just say, every few minutes, I was listening to a song, and like if the song ended, I'm going to give that 3 minutes of that song. Then I would say, are you ready for me to order yet? But my first thought was, the people behind me, do they think, one,
What is this guy?
this
doing?
guy doesn't know what he wants?
He doesn't need to be in a drive-thru.
Yeah.
One, he doesn't know what he wants. Two, is he ordering for like 1,000 people? Or three, am I about to get a honk?
Yes.
And so I sat there and I tried to, because you know you can do this. And Josh, you probably could see those people. You can see every once in a while, you can see them in their side mirror.
Well, right.
And
right.
so
glaring back at you.
Well, but
No,
no. But I was trying to portray a facade of a facial expression of, I'm just waiting. I'm not confused. I don't know what I want. I don't know if I still want to eat here. I'm not confused. But I also knew people are behind me. I can't go anywhere. Somebody's up there getting food, so I can't go up there. And if I go up there and order at the window, does it throw everybody in a tizzy?
Oh yeah.
And so,
that's a real You mess them up if you do those.
That's the
because
worst.
now your order,
Skip the microphone,
And
go to the window. Yeah.
because now you're going to get somebody else. And there was confusion. I ordered something, and then I said, you know what? That comes on a combo. So I said, just give me the combo.
Of course, you confuse them with the
Oh,
order.
And
man,
but
he's
now-
that guy.
he's the classic,
the guy.
No, but that benefit ended up getting me an extra item because
I
they didn't
confused them
understand.
out of
Oh,
a
so now he's
taco.
taking advantage.
Yes.
Oh, no.
Awesome.
I paid for it. I paid for both items. Thank you. But so that is a
So
traffic
that is a
situation.
traffic situation. That's similar. And
And it's
And
Abilene. Just turn right.
just turn right. That's
yeah,
the thing.
it's not like
I
in
deal
Dallas.
with this. I deal with this on a very, very daily basis because of where I drop my kids off. There's an intersection that involves a lot of traffic that I have just given up on ever turning left.
Yes.
I've just made a new route that involves going right. But sometimes you get behind that person 2 or 3 cars in front of you that waits, and you it's like, come on. And that all of that work that's being done on Buffalo Gap, building that boulevard and making it all of that is because more people wouldn't just turn right. They
Yeah.
cause traffic problems by trying to dart across, go into the turning lane, sit there, block traffic. It's a hazard. When in traffic, just turn right.
I
I've
agree with
never
that.
liked
Or
that road. even
turn
before
right or find a
construction.
light. Because
Turn right or find a light.
Yes.
That's a slogan.
Yeah. Click it or ticket.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Click it or ticket.
Turn right or find a light.
Because if you do, because even if you go back to that McDonald's light,
Yeah, you can go to that light.
that
and you
light's
can
going to
turn- if you
eventually,
need
it
to
may
turn
take
left.
a minute, and it may be a quick light. Now, that's the other thing that I struggle with
some
is
of
the
those
quick light.
I know, and
It's
some
like-
lights are forever, and then
Yeah.
I'm like flashing my light. Do y'all remember when they're like,
Oh, yeah,
the
the
light
automatic
can't
thing.
see you, so flash
Yeah,
your
like they
light.
treated that like the clap on, clap
That's
off.
right, it still
Yeah.
doesn't
They
work.
just said that to see what kind of idiots were up there flashing their lights.
It's
I
a-
have been that idiot.
Oh, because you wanted to go.
Yes,
So,
I'm like, I've been here for 10 minutes.
but like downtown, obviously, this is where we come for the show.
Yeah.
And I get here depending on 6:30. Anywhere between 6:15 and 6:30 is when I get to the station. And it never fails. You wish there was almost like a push button on the walk across.
Yeah.
You wish there was a button because I'll turn down Cypress and I'll get to like North 2nd. And it's red forever. But there's nobody coming during that forever time. Nobody's coming. So it's almost like if I could look both ways and then flash my lights
See?
to make it green, that would be fantastic.
I'm going to go ahead and tell you that in a hypothetical situation that doesn't ever really happen, I would run that red light.
But I'm not going to do that. I'm a good citizen because you know why? The one time the old cop decides that that's the day to patrol by the Wooten, that's
As
going to
y'all
be.
know, they're out because of what happened to me. You know.
Oh yeah,
Remember?
they're just looking
Don't
for you.
don't speed.
Ah.
Don't speed. Hey,
I'm a criminal.
when we come back again, Josh, appreciate the more you know. Again, turn right or find a light. That is the slogan for today. And who knows, we may have those kind of T-shirts at Mulligan's. Again, don't forget Mulligan's, our first road show, primetime road show, roundtable discussion, April 6th, Mom's birthday. Come hang out with us. My mom's birthday, not Hodge Pack. Well, Hodge's mom. That's me. All right, there you go. Mom's birthday, April 6th. Come hang out with us. When we come back, when we come back, speaking of green at St. Patrick's Day, we've got a quarterback going from one green jersey to another green jersey, and we have a running back now looking for a job. And Emmitt Smith wasn't happy about it. We'll be back right after this. Good stuff. Good stuff. The problem with finding the Pat McAfee, good thing I got green under here. Now it's getting hot. I don't know if it's by this deal. That was a good one. That was good. That was good. Traffic is true story.
Mm-hmm. It's like she's practicing stripper moves.
I know. Little fuzzy wuzzy, if you will. Jingle jangle.
You are welcome.
There's a lady out there
Doing yoga
doing
on the
stripper
roof.
moves.
I guess it's yoga, but it looks like stripper practice. I don't know.
I had to show Josh. Can y'all see that from y'all's window? Do y'all? In y'all's? Can
I
you
think
see
it's
her?
in the stall.
Oh
like,
my
Not
gosh.
from here. It's weird.
So funny.
There's no one on the roof.
The problem with looking up for the Pat McAfee stuff is it's on his show,
He curses.
and he
You
F-bombed.
can't watch that.
And well, no, you can watch
You
it.
can't watch that.
You can't show it. But I love when he goes, and he is a dog. Pat McAfee's pretty good. It's a good show. I mean, it's
You
very
know,
wholesome.
I actually struggle with it because I'm entertained by it. I mean, this is not a holier than thou at all, but I can't do it sometimes when they just get when I feel like people are cursing just to be provocative, just like they throw curse words, but it's not just like, it doesn't seem as natural, you just like throw the, effing this or,
I can't
what,
stand like movies like
Right.
that.
it's
Like,
just like,
give me an F and T. You're
Yeah.
like, what?
yeah, it's just like, it just doesn't, I mean, I understand getting excited and like saying something, but just
Yeah.
cursing just to curse, I get tired of listening to
Yeah,
it. And I change the
I
channel.
feel like you don't sound intelligent. Oh my gosh, that was funny. I'm glad that
She
she
did, it was like, popped it. I can't even do, I like rolled it
she
back
was
and
like,
popped
and then she like did her bag. And I'm glad that she did something because I was watching her the whole time I was going to the bathroom, and she was like all bent over. So I'm glad she didn't move when you were there.
You gotta do some stretches though.
I know, right? But I'm like, she's freezing. Just go inside.
It's cold. Well, she's one with nature.
She that's something. She's one with practicing her.
Welcome back to the Hodge Pack Sports Life and everything in between. I didn't know what Misty was
I don't
doing
know. I
over
was
there.
thinking
I was
hallucinogenic
stretching.
mushrooms.
I
Y'all-
have been inspired by the neighbor
Y'all,
on
y'all,
the rooftop.
Like,
y'all make fun of me for dancing. I didn't know what she was doing over there.
Give me a look.
I made fun of her also. Don't worry.
Well,
Your dancing is
I'm-
next level. I mean, I
I'm
don't even know
I
how.
do.
I don't even
I want
know.
to dance with
I
I don't
somebody.
know how to
I
explain
want
it.
my bracket to dance with somebody because it's a dancing out the door. But speaking of dancing out the door, one of those that are out the door this past week, March 15th, Misty's birthday eve, was the start of the NFL season, which means free agency can begin, which means deals, people can get released. And that's what happened this week. And the news that has been out for a while that we've been waiting for, really from both. From, again, you can listen to the Dallas Cowboy Radio Network right here, a part of KLGD when the season gets rolling. And one of those people you're not going to hear unless it's on the opposing team is Zeke Elliott. He was released. Now, he got his money. He got his money and he got paid and probably ruined the running back market for eternity for those that are running backs and want to be paid and that dollar amount's gone. But I threw this out to you as a question. I'll be honest with you. I hate to see Zeke go. I hate to see Zeke go. I think, yes, did he have his Cabo moment? Did he have his holdout moment? But he did kind of this. I mean, he did what, not necessarily what was best for him or what was best for the team, but he did. I'm never going to be, I got to be careful on this because of the live situation, but he got paid. But he also hadn't got that big money necessarily yet. But his guaranteed money's out. But I'll be honest with you, I am disappointed that they couldn't find a way to keep him. And now that Zeke is no longer a Dallas Cowboy.
It is a sad moment anytime you move on from somebody who has been a pivotal part of your team that you watch and you cheer for, and you wish them the best. And if you go into my hierarchy of sports fandom, you're allowed to still like Zeke Elliott.
Can we wear the jersey?
No, not yet.
Okay,
But you're allowed to still be a fan. You can watch wherever he goes and be like, I want to be interested in him. I mean, but just because he did not do anything wrong necessarily. He didn't demand to get traded. He didn't like walk in free agency and go look for another job, like some other guys do. So I don't hold that against him as far as a Cowboys fan. He just happened to have his worst year as a pro, the year that he was available to be let go with the least amount of salary cap implications. So bad luck as far as the way that worked. But as far as his time with the Cowboys, he was an All-Pro twice, led the league in rushing twice, was a Pro Bowl selection, I think 4 times. So like he was a first-round draft pick that balled out from day one. Did 5 solid years of being first-round, quality player, and even his bad years were not necessarily that bad, but he just got to that point where he was making too much money for the production that he was putting forth, and for him to, and really for his benefit and for the Cowboys, they didn't need to bring him back as the backup, and he probably wouldn't want to play for the amount of money that the Cowboys would be willing to pay for a backup running back. So he can go somewhere else to get either a tandem type job where he's kind of the 1A, 1B guy or the starter. And I think he's still got enough in the tank to be decent at that. But
I think he could be Leonard Fournette for somebody.
He can get that
Yeah,
short
just
yardage.
not for the Cowboys.
He can get that short yardage.
Well,
I
but
don't
it's because of money.
Right.
I think I'm going to disagree. I think
The money he's been overpaid the entire time.
but that's not his fault.
No,
No,
it's
no,
not.
it's not
But
his
it's
fault.
the principle of
But
it. You're
you can't-
underperforming, and you just
He can make more money somewhere else than what the Cowboys are going to pay for a clear backup running back.
Right.
He's
Right.
a backup at this point.
So that's what I think. It's a business decision. The Cowboys can draft somebody, can sign.
They better not pick Bijan Robinson.
I don't think they will. I don't think they're going to go back to that well again.
Here's what Emmett said. This is Emmett put this out. Wow, this is amazing to me. No disrespect to Malik Davis, our starting running back is gone and his backup has a broken leg. The NFL stands for not for long. everyone else, go get your money because they have no love for you. It doesn't make sense, and this is one of those things that make you shake your head. Thank you, Z, for giving everything you have, including playing injured all of last year. This is why the NFL stands for not for long, or not. He says not the law, but I think he meant to say not for long. Everybody else get your money because they have no love for you. And I've said it all along. Zeke Elliott and Le'Veon Bell have cost most running backs money that they're not going to get. Very similar to Russell Wilson, Murray.
Oh, I agree.
And those guys have cost Lamar Jackson, and that's why you see Lamar with nowhere to go, and he's got nowhere to go. There's no telling what he's going to do. But I do think Zeke Elliott will be good for somebody. There have been talk about maybe going to the Buccaneers. If I'm him, I'm trying to find some place where I can play and maybe be a 1B more than just a backup.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
because I think he's still good enough to do that.
I think he can find a place where he can be the tandem back that he has been the past couple of years with the Cowboys. That have and some of it's not fair. I get that. Because he might not have gotten some opportunities to carry the ball in situations that he could have produced more yards and was put more into some short yardage stuff. Therefore, his yards per carry was low. And so I get that. If you're always the guy that gets put in on that short yards, got to get the first down, try to get that touchdown, like you're not going to have a high yard per carry if that's your gig, and then people will then ding you for having a low yards per carry, so so I get that there might be some flex in that, but the Cowboys are in a situation that first and foremost, they have to make sure that they can pay guys to help them win. That's what every team's trying to do.
Right.
And at this point, the amount of money that would cost to get him is better spent elsewhere. And so,
unless he would take the
restructure,
unless he was willing to take a way restructured deal. Now,
but I think he can make more money somewhere else.
Right. And maybe go to, and I don't know about going to a better team because we got better this week. We traded for Stephon Gilmore. He's another guy. It would love for him to be back to the Defensive Player of the Year status. But if you got him and Diggs on each side, it can play at a very high level, then maybe that was a great deal. Van Der Esch also was signed this past week to a 2-year deal.
Keeping Wilson was a big deal.
Keeping Wilson, tackle leader. All right, I want to ask this question, then we're going to get Darren Rodgers, and may have to roll into the next segment. Is Zeke considered a bust?
I don't think so.
Oh, not a chance.
I
drafted number 4. Drafted number 4.
He lived up to it.
He's done what he needed to do. He's a great player, and it is a loss for the Cowboys. But unless you look at the amount of money that he was being paid to perform, he was not living up to that. So you take that down a notch, and then we have more money to spend elsewhere, then we can keep him. But we just can't keep him.
But I do think you're going to have to find somebody.
Because I agree. You got to get somebody. Malik Davis is not the guy.
Well, you got to find somebody, because one of the things that Zeke did that Pollard didn't do as well is protect on that linebacker blitzing.
Oh no, he was a
great blocker.
But
so you've got to be sure you find somebody.
As far as his draft status,
not in the first round.
He's not even in the realm of a bust. If you get, in my opinion, if you get a quality starter out of the first round, like an above average starter, that's really all you can expect. You hope for more, but that's kind of your baseline. And he was not only a quality starter, as the rules are in the NFL, first round draft picks are 5 years, 4 years, and an option for a fifth. So if you look at his first 5 years, being a Pro Bowler 4 times, leading the league in rushing twice, being an All-Pro twice, scoring I don't know how many touchdowns, but double-digit touchdowns multiple times. He was 100% worth the draft pick. And even though people complained about the draft pick picking the running back, and I get that, there might have been other things, but he was worth where he was drafted. He made the team better for a solid 5-6 years.
Well, and
the 7th year was not quite so much.
Right.
But led the league in rushing his rookie year. So he did. Yeah. So he's there.
He's done the things. Absolutely.
So I don't think he's a bust. I don't know if he'll be a Ring of Honor guy. 7 years only,
I don't see that.
I don't. The longevity's not there.
I mean,
Right.
he's
And
the third leading running back.
the playoff
Behind-
wins aren't there either, and that's
He's
that's
not
not all on
bringing
him,
water.
obviously.
Right.
You
but-
got Emmitt Smith at 18,000 yards rushing, over 18,000. Tony Dorsett, 12,000 yard rushing, and then Zeke ends as a Cowboy with 8,200 yards rushing and some change. And so, again, that's what the offseason is about, is what are we going to see transpire, the draft coming up. In my opinion, picking up Stephon Gilmore helps some of the defensive side of it. I think we need to beefing up our offensive line. And so when we come back, we'll look more at the rest of it. We'll talk Aaron Rodgers and the other free agencies that went places. And again, Lamar Jackson still does not have a home. Okay, don't forget, head over to PotosiLive.com. They got some great shows coming up. Cinco de Mayo with Rick Trevino. They got Kentucky Headhunters coming. Mike Ryan is coming. They got a Billy Joel tribute band. So go check out PotosiLive.com. And don't forget, at 10 o'clock, JB Cloud coming in, Texas with music history, all the things with JB Cloud. And again, don't forget, we're looking forward to, in a couple of weeks, Outlaws and Legends. Get your tickets if you have not gotten those. When we come back, Aaron Rodgers changing jerseys and following in the steps of the former quarterback he replaced as well.
I'm curious to see where Zeke's going to go.
I wouldn't be surprised if they end up somewhere in the NFC East.
Yeah. And does he just wall out even more, or is it like, no, that was a good decision? He's kind of done.
Hello, I'm Lean and Rubber here with Disability Resources Incorporated. I'm here to let you know about our document destruction and paper shred plans. Our
The
service
show went fast, I feel like.
Yes.
9:48
at our state-of-the-art, safe, and secure facility.
or 8:48.
Or better known as the ERI shredders, are here to assist and serve you in the destruction of your most private documents or just old annoying stacks of boxes you've had piled up over the years.
Yeah. They're like 16 ounce plastic cups that have Hodge Pack on them.
Cute. It's gonna be good. What time is that gonna start?
6.
6. Okay. So we need to try to get there like 5-ish.
Probably would hurt.
Yeah.
I started trying to get all clever of marking which ones I got, and then now I've got a lot of yellow. But I was proud. Green was yesterday's games. Reds are today's games. So at least,
I need to print mine. I didn't print mine.
oh, I need to light mine on fire.
Well,
I
yeah,
say that if you got 3 or 4, if you got all 4 of your final 4 still left,
that's true. Yeah, and I feel like all of our final 4 picks. I mean, like I said, some of them may be a stretch, but
Thing is,
UCLA is.
with Zeke Elliott, and I've seen some stuff that, like, through his 7-year career, at this point in his career, on the Pro Football Reference, he's got several of his top comps are Hall of Famers. So I'm not saying that he's on the way to a Hall of Fame, because he fell off like a rock last year. And he hadn't been really good for the past couple of years. But if he could continue that, I mean, someone that, like, you look back and think, well, he had a much better run with the Cowboys than I think the general fan thinks, because he's always been overpaid. But like you said, not his fault. I mean,
Right.
and some of the shenanigans, like coming into camp fat one year, like,
Yeah.
well,
Just not taking
and
it
that's
serious.
where some of these owners, and I think you're seeing it with Lamar, and even honestly, you're seeing it with Aaron Rodgers. At some point, the owners have got to say, "Hey, we thank you for what you've done,
yeah,
but we got to move on." It'd be no different than if you had somebody at either one of your banks or even at the co-op that's been there 45 plus years. We love what you've done, but we're going to need you to probably retire.
You're not producing. Like,
Yeah.
we're not necessarily.
You're
just like
doing
saying
good,
we suck,
but
we're firing you.
I
but
think
it's like-
every community bank has those people.
Yeah. Yeah. The
Well, and I think a lot of that
the
is they don't know what to
the back
do.
office person that like
Yes.
can't keep up at all.
Yes, and
Yeah.
it's like, okay, like love you, but yeah, that is tough
There's a lot of people like that, especially in smaller community
Yes.
banks. It's just like
because they have
really
been there for
cannot
50
carry
years.
their weight.
Right.
And it's like you've almost got other people hired to do their job.
Yeah, but then it's like.
Well,
you
welcome
just
back
don't
to the
want
Hodge Pack Sports Life and everything in between as we get ready to send you into the weekend. Get ready to watch those 11 o'clock games. Employers, be nice to those that may want to watch some games during 11 o'clock and actually the rest of the day. But again, March Madness is rolling. Thank you for those that have participated in the bracket challenge, the Hodge Pack Bracket Challenge. Bracket. Breaker 19. Appreciate y'all tuning in and filling out. And hopefully.
Calling from a walkie-talkie?
Yeah. Tommy Boy, great movie. But we want to finish, again, NFL free agency this week. Aaron Rodgers making the decision, went into his darkness retreat, appeared on Pat McAfee's show. They had almost 1 million people. Maybe it might have been by the time it's over 1 million people watching this show. Aaron Rodgers appears every Tuesday anyway on the Pat McAfee show, but Tuesday came on. He said, I made the decision. He went into the darkness retreat at 9. He said 90% going to retire, 10% wanting to play. So whatever happened in the darkness changed that. And then when he was done,
weird.
that his intentions have been to play for the New York Jets. So it looks like that's going to happen. And so now we start seeing the compensation is what's holding it up. How much are the Jets willing to pay and give up for Aaron Rodgers to come to the New York Jets? They said there's been a wish list. He wants Alan Lazard. They've been talking to Lazard, maybe Randall Cobb. But you've got Garrett Wilson, who has a chance to be the next Devontae Adams. And they had a pretty good run early with Zach Wilson, and then he said no, and then everything went south. Now that's a bust. Now that's a bust.
100%.
And now, can Aaron Rodgers, will he have any desire to help make Zach Wilson better? Because let's face it, he is 38 years old, or he may be 39 when the season starts. Is going to be at a stage where even if he plays till 45, is not that long left. And I doubt he plays that long. I doubt he plays as long as Brady did.
Do you think Brady's retirement has anything to do with him now changing his tune of I'm going to continue to play?
Oh, I talked about this at the time. When Brady retired, I knew that there was no way Rodgers would, because I don't think it's within and he deserves it, so I'm not questioning it, but I don't think it's within his thought process to be like, I want to share the Hall of Fame podium with Tom Brady.
Exactly.
Well, because it's not only going to be Tom Brady, but Tom Brady and J.J. Watt will go in as first ballot Hall of Famers.
Well, right.
And so now it'd have been a great class, but I agree with you. I don't think Aaron Rodgers would want to do that. So in that, how good? I mean, Priest Hall, pretty good. Their defense is probably the best defense that he's played on since his Super Bowl win in 2010. So the Jets may be that away from maybe a quarterback, maybe an Aaron Rodgers. They're probably the only team that is a Matt Stafford away, but Matt Stafford also had a large amount of people from Odell Beckham, Cooper Kupp, and then you add on the defensive side, they added Von Miller, and they obviously had Aaron Donald. So they're pretty good. So maybe that may be what we see in New York. I think it's good for the NFL for the New York Jets to be good. There was stretch that old-timey Jet fans are like, we can't have another number 12. We only have Joe Namath. He's our only number 12. And Joe Namath's like, I don't care. I like to see the Jets be good. If he wants 12, you can have 12. But now, where does Lamar Jackson go? Lamar Jackson is now still waiting. Some of the other places that people went, Taylor Heineke went to Atlanta. Darren Waller went to the Giants. Of course, Derek Carr and all those people that are finding places to go. But there's going to be people looking for quarterbacks. We mentioned that the Bears traded away their pick. So where do you put Aaron Rodgers in the AFC, where do you rank him in the quarterback?
So yesterday I said 8th. I'm gonna rank him 7th today.
Who do you have in front of him?
Well, okay, let me ask you this. Are we talking about what I think he's going to do for the upcoming season or entire career? Because you can't even compare.
I'll even say, what's he going to do in 2023?
When I'm just saying, if you've got a 2-year quarterback.
Well, let me ask you this. Why did you put him at 8?
Because I actually wrote all of this down. Looking at the passing yards and touchdowns, I think that maybe y'all should look at some of these numbers. Like, yeah, I'm not saying that he's not good. But if you're comparing his 2022 stats, he's not. His stats are not.
Being reunited with Nathaniel Hackett.
I'm saying if we're going based off of his most recent stats, he is not even in the top 5.
The last year he was with Nathaniel Hackett.
I'm just telling you that.
I'm telling you, the last time he was with Nathaniel Hackett, he was the MVP.
Trevor Lawrence had better stats than him. Herbert threw for more passing yards. Allen, Burrow, Hurts, Mahomes.
So you're
Smith.
going off of straight stats.
Yes.
You would rather have Geno Smith than Aaron Rodgers.
I'm going off of straight 2022 stats.
You would rather
Geno
have
Smith's in NFC.
I'm just saying, like, looking at total. I'm just saying. I don't know. If we're looking at most recent stats, I don't have him in the top 5.
I don't. I have him at 4.
I'll say the whole lot. Misty's wrong.
4.
I mean, the numbers do not lie.
I have him at 4 or 5.
The numbers don't lie. So how do you
4 or
disagree?
5, with Herbert being the guy that I'm like, I don't know what I need to see more from Herbert, but I think that it's actually at this point a competition. I think Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL.
Right.
So
I got Mahomes number 1.
Burrow.
I got Burrow number 2.
Josh Allen.
Yes.
Maybe.
And then after that, I would put Aaron Rodgers and possibly Justin Herbert. So that's
where I would say 4th. And the reason I say Josh Allen maybe.
Well, Josh Allen needs to bounce back.
Josh Allen is in the same realm if we go off of stats and we go off of wins and those things. Now, the difference is he got his team into the playoffs. But so I would have Aaron at worst, what did I say, 4. Because I do think Patrick Mahomes is the best player in football. I would go Joe Burrow number 2. And they just added Orlando Brown to his lineup.
But I think going for next year, not looking at last year's stats, but next year with Justin Herbert having full complement of weapons around him, new offensive scheme.
New offensive coordinator.
I think that he could take that step. So that's why I'm like, but for next year, if you told me your team gets to choose one of these quarterbacks, my order would have him 4th. I would pick him under Josh Allen, mainly because Josh Allen can do stuff that really, like, Lamar Jackson's the only one that's kind of close to his ability to pick up first down. He is more mobile than
Rodgers, yeah. And I'm not.
Rodgers is a couple of hits away. It's just the same thing we talked about with Brady. He's a couple of hits away from being done. I mean,
but see, I think the only thing
is old.
The only thing I disagree with that is.
Takes a bad hit, he's out.
Somebody with that's any quarterback.
No, not necessarily. A 25-year-old quarterback can bounce back better than a 38-year-old quarterback. Is what I'm saying.
Might not agree.
Well, Tua, that
but
was
my
crazy.
point is, and somebody was talking about it in one of the shows I was listening to. The thing that, and even though Peyton had the neck injury for a little bit, one of the things that Peyton, Tom Brady, and even Aaron Rodgers know how to do is protect themselves.
Yeah, they don't
because they know when
right.
to crater.
Yeah.
They know when to give up on a play. They know when to fold up shop and play for the next down. And I don't. The other thing that I go off of, the reason I disagree that he's 8th or 7th is I think you can't underestimate how much Nathaniel Hackett must have meant when now again. He wasn't a great head coach because he obviously didn't work in Denver. But what he did as the quarterback coach and what he in the last time that he was
Rodgers
under,
wants to go there.
Right?
I mean, so
yeah, for sure.
And so anyway, that's good stuff. I like it when we disagree.
Yeah, I'm not gonna just agree with y'all all the time. So there you go.
Can't be right all the time. And Clay can
whatever.
Clay can attest to that.
Whatever.
Clay can attest to that. Sometimes
And I just don't like the guy. So
yeah,
he's 7th. I said 7th.
Well, he got moved up. Maybe when the season starts, he'll get moved up even more. we shall see. But hey, folks, appreciate you tuning in this morning to the Hodge Pack. Don't forget, April 6th, go hang out with us at Mulligan's for our first on-the-road primetime show at Mulligan's. Get out tonight, this weekend, find you a Hodge Pack. Hope your brackets survive game day 2, and we'll be back next week. I'll be live from Austin Country Club as the Dell Match Play happens next week. So enjoy. Have a great weekend. See you next week.
Like Goff and Cousins both had better stats than him as well.
Cousins is one of those guys though that always puts up stats except for the can't.
Right.
Can't win
I mean,
in the
he
end.
can sling it. Yeah.
The other